Charming Shitsi is getting married, but suddenly the groom calls her by another name. Angry and realizing that he doesn't love her, the girl punches the guy in the face and leaves the wedding hall after ripping off her veil. Hearing that there is a wedding in the neighboring hall, Shiki goes there to see the happy couple. Seeing this, the girl cries and drinks with grief as she wanted to be loved and be close to her. At the most crucial moment, the bride does not have time to say the cherished yes as her lover appears in the hall, with whom she escapes from under the crown. Realizing that the groom was in the same dire situation, Shitsi decides to play along and goes on stage, pretending to be his real bride. A little later, it turns out that Shiki and her lover are actors that Moke has specially invited. He didn't want to get married with acted out the play in front of his family and friends to remain a bachelor. Shiki ruined everything, but Mocha doesn't blame the fake bride because she couldn't have foreseen such an outcome. Shitsi seems very funny and beautiful to the man, so as a thank you she can choose any of the wedding gifts. He offers her the keys to the world's most expensive cars and jewelry worth several $1,000,000, but the girl decides to take just one envelope. When she hears that Mocha has taken out a loan, she assumes that he is a poor man who spent on the wedding and returns the envelope, then leaves without learning that the amount of his loan is $200 million and he is fabulously rich. At the same time, Moke is not going to just let the girl go, because even though formally, but according to the documents, she is his wife. A couple of days later, Shiki has to apologize to her mother on the phone for the fact that her wedding was disrupted. At the same time, she is met by her fiancé, who proposes to forget everything and get married. The girl rejects him, realizing that the guy never loved her and cheated with another. He grabs Shitsi by the hands and insults her, claiming that someone like her will not be able to find a decent man and will live with a poor man. At the same time, a motorcade of 3 cars approaches the couple. Moke and the guards cast Shiki's ex-fiancée aside so that the man can socialize with his former spouse and invite her to his home. Soon, Shiki begins working at a large company in a lowly position. One of her colleagues offers to raise money for the wedding of one of the bosses, but the girl refuses as she does not have the financial ability, which generates the first conflict. Seeing that their new boss is Moke, the spiteful coworker has an eye for the man and dreams of becoming his bride. In the evening, Shiki decides to leave her workplace without working overtime. Her colleague criticizes her for this, but Shitsi adheres to labor laws and is not willing to tolerate an irregular work schedule. Before Shitsi leaves, the colleague asks her to take out the trash, but the girl is not obliged to do so, so she empties the contents of the bucket onto the colleague's desk. This leads to another conflict, which Moke witnesses. He decides to test the girl's diligence and assigns her a difficult task, because of which she stays in the office until night. As soon as Shiki falls asleep from fatigue, a colleague kidnaps and tears the project documents into small pieces. With no prepared speech, Shiki wriggles out of the situation and conducts a live broadcast for viewers who dream of buying their company's cosmetics. In the evening, a coworker promises to continue ruining the girl's life until she quits. As soon as the boss's car pulls up to them, the subordinate asks Mocha for a ride home. The man won't let her open the door, claiming that there can only be one person as his passenger, and that is his wife. Mocha knows that the girl tried to assert herself at the expense of the newcomer and purposely spoiled the documents, so he fires her and asks her not to appear in the office again. Not listening to his colleagues' excuses, the couple leaves to be alone together. Soon Shiki notices that her new colleague is a girl named Yan. She has bad memories with her as she was constantly bullied by Yan at school. Deciding to return the favor, Shiki knocks the chair out from under Yan and threatens her coworker, claiming that she is no longer the naive and soft girl she used to be. Yan punches herself in the face and cries, accusing Shiki of unwarranted aggression. Yan makes herself look like a victim, claiming that Shiki bullied her at school and continues now, causing her colleagues to support her. Mocha intervenes and doesn't know who is right and who is wrong. He gives Shiki 2 days off to avoid inflaming the situation. She realizes that her husband does not trust her words because the evidence says the opposite. This offends Shiki, and Yan takes advantage of the moment by provoking the girl into a conflict and trying to humiliate her. A few days later, Shiki returns to work, but Yan and her coworkers insist on firing her. Moke gets involved in the conflict again, but this time he defends Shiki because he knows the truth. He gets hold of old videos from high school that show that Yan was the bully who hurt other girls. Seeing the flash drive with the evidence, Yan smashes it, but Moke manages to copy the data to several other data drives, and what's more, he sent the videos to her future husband, causing him to cancel the wedding. Moke promises not to give Yan a quiet life and sends the video to everyone, whether it's a new husband or another place of employment, so that the bully will always 700,000% try to apologize to Shichi. A few days later, Shitsi learns that her relatives are coming to visit her to Panoing her new husband. Moke offers to take an expensive car and a fancy hotel, but the girl refuses, feeling awkward. When she meets her relatives, she learns that there is only one vacant room in the hotel. The hotel administrator recognizes her from her photo and solves this problem but the older sister believes that it is the merits of her not poor husband. In the evening, a fancy dinner is organized for the family, and the older sister again believes that all this is due to the recognizability of her husband. Throughout the evening, the sister and her husband behave arrogantly, believing that they are the kings of life among the poor relatives. They order expensive food and alcohol, constantly humiliating the humble Shiki. In the end, Shitsi and her older sister quarrel so much that the girl knocks over a glass of wine on her sister's clothes. The sister demands material compensation, but at this time Moke appears in the hall, who is also insulted, believing that he is a beggar. After learning about the project in the company of the older sister's husband, Moke decides to make a phone call to put the upstarts in their place. Soon after, the sister's husband receives a call back informing him that the contract has been terminated, making him realize that Moke, the rich man, and Shiki's husband are one and the same person. The sister and husband try to justify that it was a joke, but Moke doesn't listen to them and leaves, taking his wife and her mother with him. The receptionist asks the sister to pay the bill because they ordered something that was not on Mr. Moke's wish list. After learning the amount owed, they realize they are on the verge of bankruptcy. A couple of days later, Shiki goes to work when the cleaning lady asks her to look after a garbage bag. Noticing a couple of empty bottles, the girl decides to help, but at the same moment she meets an old acquaintance. Seeing what is happening, Nu thought that Shiki is a beggar. A little later she is fined for a poorly done job, but Nu defends her friend in front of her strict boss. Nu also gets fined and Shiki offers to make up for it, but the girl refuses, believing that Shiki's financial situation is more dire. Shiki decides to secretly thank her friend and asks Moke to give her a $20 million project to work on. The boss calls Nu inexperienced and wants to take the project for herself to show off to the president of the company. But suddenly, Moke appears, accompanied by his wife. The powerful woman is kicked out for her unfair treatment of her subordinates. Shiki offers to help Nu financially, but it turns out that she is not poor, and her button phone is worth more than $2.5 million. One day Moke decides to get a little naughty and kisses his wife in the elevator. A coworker who sees this doesn't realize they are husband and wife, so she decides to seduce the president of the company, believing him to be a womanizer. When she receives a refusal, she sets Shiki up, causing her to come to work in a revealing outfit. Moke immediately summons her to his office, but only to try to kiss her again. Jin enters the office and Shiki has to push her husband away, causing him to injure his arm. After receiving an assignment to move a painting, Shiki nearly runs over a guy on the road. Jin seizes the moment and steals the painting, as the injured man is an acquaintance of hers who has staged a fake accident. Upon returning to the office, Jin accuses Shiki of stealing and trying to sell the painting. The girls argue and almost fight, but Moke exposes the deceiver. Instead of an expensive painting, he hid their wedding portrait under a sheet. Moke fires Jin, and Shiki punches her in the face to restore justice. The next morning, the girl decides to buy food and notices that the old man is short of money. She decides to pay in his place, but loses her documents on her way to work. The old man decides to take the documents to Shitsi, but becomes a victim of bullying by her boss. Shiki defends the man because he is her new trainee, and it is unfair to judge people based on their wealth. The boss orders Shiki to take care of the old man and promises to fire both of them if he fails to do his job. A little later, the boss gives the old man a task he can't handle, and Shiki decides to help him. Soon it turns out that he knows a foreign language and is able to prepare a document without her help. A little later, the boss presents Mocha's project as her own, but Shiki exposes the deceiver. The boss tries to justify herself, but an old man shows up who turns out to be not an intern, but a business partner of their company. A little later, the old man decides to introduce Shiki to his grandson, who turns out to be her husband. A few days later, Moch buys his wife an expensive car in honor of her birthday. At the car dealership, Shiki meets an ex-boyfriend and his new girlfriend. They mock Shiki, believing that she is a pauper and cannot afford an expensive car. The boyfriend wants to buy the car, believing that the girl works as a saleswoman, but the manager disappoints him by informing him that the car belongs to Shitsi. Upon learning that her husband is Moch, the guy scoffs, assuming the girl is lying since Moch is the richest man in their country. In the evening, the ex-boyfriend meets Moch to finalize a contract between their companies and offers the car keys as a gift for his wife. Upon learning that Shiki is really the rich man's wife, the boyfriend apologizes, but too late, as Moch terminates the contract with his company and makes a deal with a competitor. In the evening, Moch helps his wife take a relaxing foot bath and informs her that his aunt is coming over. In the morning, he tidies up the apartment and embarrasses his wife in front of the unexpected aunt. Shitsi pretends to be a good housewife and takes the mop away from her husband before heading to the kitchen to prepare dinner. Realizing that Shiki can't cook at all, Moch helps her with the task. In the evening, his aunt exposes the deception and calls Mocha a philanderer. He is ready for such words because he loves Shiki and is ready to do anything for her. Realizing that their love is mutual, the aunt is happy that the girl has not become a housewife and gives her a bracelet. The next morning, Moch asks his wife to take care of a guest star. Rebecca meets Shiki and rejects her, believing her to be a beggar who eats cheap food. Upon noticing Moch, the star assumes he has taken notice of her and gets angry at Shitsi greeting the rich man back. In the evening during the awards, Moch informs Rebecca that she didn't win the contest through her arrogance and confesses that he is married to Shichi, the best and most beautiful girl in China. A short while later, Shiki starts working for another company and doesn't want anyone to know about her as a rich man's wife. She gives up her car and is shocked to learn the value of her purse. When she shows up at the office, she hears gossip from coworkers who don't know which one of them is Moch's wife. Shiki soon notices Mufo stopping the rumors, only to identify herself as the wife of a rich man. Noticing that Shiki has the same bag as Mufo, the coworkers accuse the girl of trying to pretend to be rich and buying a fake. Unwilling to relent, Shitsi chants a QR code to prove that her bag is real and Mufo's is fake. Mufo continues to claim that she is Moch's wife and Shitsi asks to invite all her colleagues to her villa to confirm these words. A couple of days later, Mufo gives her a tour of the house and Shitsi doesn't understand how she got the keys to her and Moch's house. Shitsi and Mufo end up fighting, and the woman humiliates the unfortunate girl. At the same time, Moch returns home and exposes the deceitful woman who got the keys from her mother, who works as a cleaner in his house. Shiki asks for reimbursement for the value of the torn purse and the mother beats up Mofo, as they don't have that kind of money. The next morning on her way to work, Shitsi notices a couple arguing, trying to decide who the child will stay with. She stands up for the boy's mother and later learns that she will be her new colleague. Their boss immediately mocks the single mother who has gone through 2 failed marriages, but Shiki stands up for her. The boss assigns the two of them a difficult task, but the girls do well, after which Shiki shares a chicken with a single mother who can't afford expensive food. They manage to get a contract with the hotel, but the boss decides to take credit for it. She does not allow the girls to go inside, as her husband, who works as a receptionist, suddenly appears. He asks the woman to shut up because the single mother is actually not poor and is the main shareholder of their hotel. As it turns out, her past husbands were tycoons and left a solid inheritance in the form of billions of dollars and dozens of hotels across the country. The single mom only went to work because she was bored, but she is grateful to Shitsi that they were able to become friends. In the end, the woman gives Shitsi a gold bar and fires the husband of the strict boss, causing him to decide to divorce her. Sometime later, Shitsi meets her new boss Shupin and believes that it is her old friend Lily. The girl finds herself in an awkward situation and meets with her friend to understand how this is possible, since Lily and Shupin look like twin sisters. A fat coworker assigns Shiki a responsible task, which her friend helps her to cope with. In the morning, the fat lady decides to collect her bonus for something she didn't do, causing Shiki to fight with her. Shuten sees what is happening and fires the fat subordinate, knowing that she is being brazen and would never have handled such a task on her own. Also, Shuten exposes himself as she and Lily are the same person and she is really Shiki's friend. A while later, Mok's mother offers Shiki $5 million for the girl to leave her son alone. Shiki doesn't want to sell her love and fights with the woman, after which they have lunch, swapping food. They suddenly begin to understand the tastes of their interlocutor, but they remain angry, unwilling to look each other in the eye. On the street they notice a hooligan and skillfully stop him, allowing the guards to catch the culprit. After seeing that a woman has a bad back, Shiki decides to help Mocha's mother and take her home. Here, Shiki also meets Mok's childhood friend, who is trying to get the attention of a man. She was in love with him as a child and is not embarrassed that the man has a wife, hoping to get his attention. Mocha's mother unexpectedly stands up for Shiki and kicks out the brash childhood friend. The woman likes that Shiki is a modest and well-mannered girl who has risen from scratch and started earning well, becoming useful not only at home but also at work. Of course, she has a difficult character and her mother-in-law and daughter-in-law will fight, but Mok's mother is ready for it, because Shiki just knows how to stand up for herself. A few days later, Shiki is going to meet a school friend whom she hasn't seen for 10 years. At school, the girls dreamed a lot about a rich life, but Shiki notices her friend in modest clothes on an old bicycle and realizes that she is unlikely to become a big boss. Not wanting to show off her wealth, Shiki lets the car and driver go and changes her expensive clothes to meet Xiao. Assuming that her friend is hungry, Shiki invites her to a restaurant and orders her food without looking at the menu, claiming that she worked there as a waitress. Shitsi tries to secretly pay the bill and slip her friend a bank card with the money, but she fails. A little later, Shiki goes to negotiate with a business partner and recognizes Xiao, a businessman, as the person. They are both rich and successful, but have been pretending to be poor so as not to upset her friend, whose life has turned out less well. A few weeks later, Shiki goes out with friends and drinks, assuming Mok will want a divorce. She often disappoints the man and gets into embarrassing situations using his razor and other things. Shiki realizes that many men don't like this and fears that Mok might kick her out on the street. The friend reassures Shiki because he knows that Mok sincerely loves her and is unlikely to pay attention to such trifles. As it turns out, the friend has been in frequent contact with her husband and knows that Mok is willing to do anything to be with Shiki. At the same time, the comrade reports that there was a situation during which her husband became disappointed in her. Not too long ago, they had lunch at a cafe and she left on business, never knowing that he wanted to propose marriage to her so that their marriage would be a pattern and not an accident. Her husband doesn't return her calls, but only because he came to give her an album of their photos and finally ask her to be his wife once and for life. He doesn't just give the girl an engagement ring, he provides a briefcase that contains the keys to houses, cars, and documents for all of his possessions. He is ready to give everything, only if she was with him, and, realizing this, Shitsi responds with consent. Soon the couple marries again, but this time for real and forever.